Hey everybody, it's Brandon, and in today's video I want to talk to you guys about how you should focus your GMAT studies, whether you go straight into doing problems or you deep dive into topics. So, speaking from my own personal experience, I come from a background of going straight into things. I like to just go straight into the problems. I like to get that type of approach. I've always done this in the past. As far as practicality goes, I think it's really a great way to get the best return for your time in the short term. I think it's just very efficient to simply do the actual thing you're trying to do, practice doing that, and you'll get results very quickly. I've always applied this in most things. I don't like to theorize, I like to just simply get results. Now, when you're trying to minimize the amount of time you put into something, that is a good thing. If you're trying to get very quick results, immediately mirroring and practicing the things you're trying to do is going to be very good for your, ROI. But when you're trying to get into the upper range of GMAT scores, this is something I'm just now realizing. That's not really the best approach. And that's not really the best approach in most things, most areas of skill. At a certain point, you're going to have to deep dive into certain topics. And in the case of a high stress, very quick decision making, the GMAT is very, you need to make a decision very quickly. You need to, you have a very limited amount of time. It's very costly to develop bad habits and do things incorrectly and then learn to do things incorrectly. So something I'm noticing now that I'm really starting to address within my own GMAT studies and my own GMAT performance is that I've developed a lot of habits and a lot of tricks that work well maybe 80-90% of the time, but sometimes I'll start doing these problems and I'll miss things that I really shouldn't be missing because I'm applying some principle that I've learned. I would say even at the subconscious level, I can recognize a certain problem is probably needing to be approached a certain way. Whereas if I had simply learned the actual material just cold, just understand the concept, front to back, I wouldn't have this problem. And, if I were to redo my GMAT studies, if I were to go and figure out, how much time am I going to allocate to doing practice problems, practice exams, how much time am I going to spend deep diving into topics, I would do it like this. So rather than do what I did, which is simply just spam, a whole ton of problems, just really try to get the repetition, that is something you're going to have to do at some point. But what I would instead do, I would say the minimum number of problems to identify my weak points. So that might be 100 problems in each type. Maybe that's 100 problem solving, 100 data sufficiency, 100 critical reasoning. You need to figure out the number, but I would do 100 of each problem as kind of a benchmark. Perhaps, I would really recommend you do this in the original guide or in some problem set that has an online bank so that it's already pre-sorted into the different categories. If anything, actually, I would recommend using a different problem set besides the original guide so that you have the original guide at the end of your studies to use as your benchmark. The issue with doing all of the original guide problems up front is that as you try to reapproach them, you're going to come at them with some element of, you've already seen them. So it's going to be kind of hard to differentiate whether you're really learning the concepts and are able to apply it on a new problem, or if there's some part of your brain that's remembering the last time you solved the problem, and some part of that solution is going to be kind of embedded in your memory. So it's not really the most fair retake. You may have inflated scores and have an inflated sense of confidence if you try retaking the OG questions. If you're trying to go, I would say maybe above 80%, 90% percentile, you're probably going to want to be careful of that. If you're just trying to get, in the higher 600s, you're probably not going to have to deal with that because by the time you finish every single OG question and have studied it front to back, you'll probably be pretty good. Even myself, I could probably still run through a lot of the OG questions and learn a ton. I have, a lot of questions that I need to still touch up. But just thinking about it in sheer efficiency, that's what I would do. I would definitely go with either a Kaplan or maybe a Manhattan question set, do a good enough number to be able to see where my deficiencies are, and then I would go deep dive into those topics using either the Kaplan guides, the Manhattan guides, and then after that, start running through problem sets to just simply develop the overall test taking ability that I kind of described earlier. Practicing a ton of problems is the best way to work on your timing, work on your just general execution of these concepts, but it is very important to not develop those bad habits. So as you approach your studies, try to maintain a balance. I would definitely go towards, if you're definitely just starting out, try to avoid developing those bad habits. So lean towards study after you've, identified your deficiencies, and then, should be pretty good. Anyways, that is my idea for today. I am about to get back to studying. Got to do some more quant touch-ups before my second practice test on Saturday. So good luck with your GMAT studies. I hope you do really well. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.